just that I'm not recording. Alright. Okay. Now, Word has a beautiful option for choosing presets for fonts and styles. Okay. So if you look here, over here you have all these options and you can choose from a wide variety like this. Okay, you can even manually create a style. So this is basically for the entire document. If you want to set a particular style of how it looks and you don't really want to have to make your own choices and decisions, you can go for these presets that have been provided. So suppose this one. Okay, so it just changes what everything looks like. Okay, depending on the purpose of your report, depending on what the report is about. Okay, it changes how it looks like. Okay, so this is how the normal one looks, and then there's one without spaces, and then it can change the colors and stuff also. Okay, and you get to choose, you get to create your own, or you just do it manually by selecting the lines and the words and changing the fonts and styles and so on. Okay, now suppose I do want to make this a little more prominent. I can change the color like this, right? You also have an option to create such fancy text, okay, and make it look different by adding all kinds of effects and all to it. So suppose I have taken this one, alright, I can change the outline like this. Let me increase the size for you to see. Okay, so the outline got changed. Suppose I took this and I changed the outline to this. Okay, now it looks different. Or I do this and again change the outline to something different, and I can add a shadow effect. Over here it shows you how the shadow will look like. Okay, you can have a slight shadow for the letter itself, or you can have an entire shadow for the word like this. Now this is when you're trying to create some kind of fancy document, make it attractive. Let's say you're creating an invitation or a greeting card or a pamphlet or an advertisement, and you're allowed to use such fancy options, then you can go ahead and do this. Otherwise, stick to the basics. Okay, then you also have the option for a reflection, where it will reflect the word in addition to giving a shadow, and you can also add a glow. So the word and the letters, each of them have this glowing border, so to say. Okay, any questions over here?
No, ma'am.
I know. Now let's say there are certain things in your text that you want to highlight to bring attention to. One way, of course, is to add your features like bold and italics and underline, or you change the text color, or you have the option to highlight that entire section. So it creates this background color and those words and sentence stands out. Okay, just like you would highlight something in a textbook, you would underline it with your pen or pencil. You would use a highlighting marker and add that fluorescent color to it. You have those options even on Word. There are a lot of things that you can do on a paper document. You can also do in word. Okay, and then now suppose all of this you think is utter rubbish and you do not think, you just click on this button and it will clear all formatting and you get your basic text back. Alright, and now you're back to square one. You go to the original natural document that Word provides at the beginning. Just one second. Okay. Um, so this is what it looks. So this is your basic, most basic formatting options in Word. Okay. Now, suppose you are reading a document that is say 300, 400 pages long, okay, or even 10 pages long, and you need to find a particular word or a particular line, okay, within that entire body of writing, you have the option to click on this button called Find, okay, and you type the word that you are looking for, okay. So for I want this person's name. Okay, this find option will highlight everywhere the word arrives in the text. Okay, so over here the word occurs once and it has highlighted this one. Okay, but suppose I want to replace the word. Okay, I go to the option for replacing. Alright, and in the find what section I want to add the word that I want to replace, and in the replace with section I type the word that I want to use instead of the above word, like this. Okay, and then it depends on whether I want to replace them one by one or I want the entire document to replace that word. Okay, so I can click replace all. Okay, and now it tells me that two words were replaced. So the word concept occurred twice, and both cases those words have been replaced. Okay, so see here. Okay, it was replaced here. All right, and here, this one. Okay, any questions over here?
No, ma'am.
Great. So now let's talk about inserting material into your Word document. So similar to how we inserted things into our presentation when we were looking at PowerPoint, in the same way you have the option to insert a lot of different things into your Word text. Okay, so of course the written material is your basic, but you're allowed to insert so many other uh, things like charts, graphs, photographs, even videos. Okay, um, and just to make it interesting or to add information or to supplement your information or whatever. Okay, so let's start with um, this option here for pages. Suppose you want to add a cover page to your material. Okay, remember when we spoke of cover pages, we talked about how they are pages that occur at the top and at the back of a document. Okay, you can add that, okay, over in Word also, and then you get fancy options to choose from. So what do you want your cover page to look like? Okay, so I want something basic like this. So I go here, and then remember when we spoke of cover pages, we spoke of them having the title and the information about the author and all that. So you get to add those details here, okay, and then the report will, or the document will actually start. Okay, and now suppose after this I want to add a blank page, just to maybe divide the chapters or divide the beginning from the middle from the end and stuff. I can have this option to include a blank page, and then you see this page is left like that as it is, and on the next page you have an additional blank document where you can type out your fresh chapter or whatever, or you can leave it blank and go to the next page even. Alright, but you also have an option for a page break. So over here, this is actually connected to your option for printing. Okay, when you have to print your uh, document, okay, it helps to have a page break instead of having a blank page, because sometimes the printers do not read that blank page and then the text gets mixed up. So stuff that was on the next page often comes up halfway through to the previous page, and the adjustments and all that change. So that if you add a page break, you know that it will not accidentally print on the previous page. Okay, so for that you add a page break. It functions similar to adding a blank page, okay, but this helps more towards the printing part. It also helps when you have to number your pages, and make sure that stuff from one page doesn't go over to the next page. So that even if you add material in the blank space over here, suppose I add stuff below this, okay, if I have added a blank page, whatever's on the blank page will shift downwards, okay, but if I do a page break, regardless of what further material I add here on the current page, what is there on the next page will not be moved around, that will remain static. Okay, so that's the difference and the benefits of the blank and the page breaks. Okay. Any questions here?
No, ma'am, all good.
Okay, so now let's talk about tables. Okay, we've done this when we did PowerPoint. It's pretty much the same. You can add tables. You can manually insert a table by typing in the number of rows and columns you want, or you can just slide your cursor around and choose like this. Okay, you also have options for quick tables. These are presets that you can use if you find them useful, or if that's what you want. Okay, if you don't want that, you can just manually add like this. Okay, you also have the option to import a file table from Excel sheets. Okay, we are not looking at Excel sheets, okay, because that's complicated. But if you have a table on an Excel sheet, you can import from there. So you basically need to have that connection with your Excel sheet. Okay, um, but let's just go here and add this table. Now if you see, automatically it takes you to this table design tab, and like we did in PowerPoint, you can adjust what the table looks like from all these options. Okay, so you adjust colors and how the lines appear. Okay, um, you can adjust the shades of each box or each row or column. Okay, you can adjust your borders, which borders you want or don't want. Okay, so suppose you've selected the entire table. Okay, and you chose this line for your borders. Okay, and you have increased the size. You can add like this if you want a particular one, or like we did before, select and then you click. Okay, all borders and you get the borders. Okay, and as with any other text on your Word document, you have the option to format the table. So suppose for my heading line I want white color font. Okay, and I want this font and I want a bigger size. Okay, so this is what it looks like. Okay, so each individual box on the table can be similarly adjusted, or you can select the entire table and format the font and its appearance and everything, right? And then you have the options to include pictures. If you click on this device, okay, it will take you to your hard drive and you can choose image files from there, or you can go online and search. So it takes you to the Microsoft browser. Okay, and you can choose like this. So you have your predefined searches like the one that I clicked, or you can click on a search bar and add whatever you want. Okay, so suppose I want to add this picture. I click on insert and the picture is inserted. Okay, now see what happened. My mouse was on the table, so the picture got inserted in the table itself. Okay, now if you want that, great, but I don't want it. So what I do is I click outside the table and I go back to inserting the picture. I could have cut and copied, or I can go back and search like this, right? And your image appears like this. Okay, now see, once the image has been attached, it takes you automatically to the picture formatting um, tab. Okay, you can double click the picture and it takes you there. Okay, so you can adjust the color of the picture. Okay, you can adjust the brightness, the contrast, make it look however you feel it looks best. Okay, um, so this for example, then you can adjust colors. You can add all these fancy recoloring techniques. Okay, you can adjust the shades, the saturations of the colors, the temperature, the warmth of the color. I mean, if you are into all that, you feel that the picture is not looking good, you want to edit it the same way like you add filters on your um what do you call it, your photo apps on your phone. This is very much like that. Okay, you add filters, you can make the image
Snapchat,
clearer.
ma'am.
Sorry.
It's Snapchat.
Yeah, but there are other photograph apps also, right? Where you can edit photographs.
Yes, ma'am. It's
Yeah.
like the king of that department.
Okay. All right, the king of the department. Cool. Uh, so yeah, so similar to the way you edit your photographs in all your applications, okay, whether you are adjusting your shades and contrast, whether you're adding color filter, um, whatever you're doing, same way you have the options to do it in Word. It's a little more basic. It's just to make the image look clearer, okay, a more sharper color maybe. You won't get your fancy uh, weird filters that you find online or on Snapchat or something, but you just get options to make the picture look better than it already does. Okay, like this. Okay, see how the picture changed. Now this looks so much better. Okay, you can also do something like add artistic effects where it does funny things to the pictures. It's a little slow for some reason. Okay, like this. You want to make it look really funny and weird. This is okay, or whatever options you want, you can choose. Alright, or if you don't like any of the options, you want to go back to the original, just click on reset picture, and there you go. Your normal old basic picture is back. Alright, so you don't want to adjust the colors and stuff on the picture, but you want to add a border, so you go here. Okay, and you get all these different border options. Okay, so suppose this one, or let's go with this one. Okay, so you see it has added a border and a bit of a reflection also for the picture. And of course I can change and edit the color of the border to whatever I want. Okay, and as we did for the word art, okay, that word report that we adjusted, you can do the same things with the photograph also. Okay, add a glow, or rotate it, or add this embossing options, okay, or add a reflection to it. Okay, it's not fitting here, so it's automatically gone down. All right, you can even rotate the picture in a certain way, okay, whatever way you want it to. It will change its position on the page depending on whether it fits or not. Okay, so here you see it's gone to the right and it doesn't fit on the page, but I want it to fit on the page. Okay, so I can do two things. I can adjust um, the position of the image. Okay, let's just click on reset picture. No, okay, remove the reflection so it goes back to its original position. Now you see, when I clicked on this and I did this, the picture has moved up above the text material and the table that I had. But suppose I want it to be like this, it comes back to being at the bottom of the page where it was. Okay, of course I can manually move it around to whatever position I feel is fit. Okay, and I can even choose how I want the text to be adjusted around the picture, but right now I don't want to adjust. But suppose the picture was smaller, like this. Okay, and suppose the picture was here. You see how the text is adjusting itself to go around the picture. Okay, you can change that like this. So right now I chose square, so all around the picture my words are adjusting themselves. Okay, if I do this, then the first line of the paragraph starts at the bottom of the picture. Or I can make it like this, or I can even have the words going through. Okay, um, or I can bring the picture like this. Also, whatever I feel suits the position and the purpose of the picture the best. Okay, um, but I don't want any of that, so I simply move the picture around. All right. Any questions here?
No, ma'am, all good till yet.
You also have the option to flip and rotate the image according to how you want it to sit on your page. You can even cut the picture. Go to crop, okay, and you can cut the picture. So suppose I don't want this extra space on the side, I can cut it like this. There, okay. Even in the crop option, you have presets. If you want to put it within a particular shape, that also works, okay, or something like this, depending again on the purpose of your entire document. If you're creating something fancy, like I said, a greeting card or an advertisement or a pamphlet or a flyer or something, there all these fancy options get used. Okay, so that's how you can um, crop. Now again, I don't want any of this stuff, so I go back to click on reset picture. Okay, right. Next, we can insert shapes. So any of these shapes that I want, I can choose and insert. Okay, so let's say I want this shape. Okay, the shape gets inserted, and suppose I can even write something inside it. Do you see the cursor in there? Inside the shape? Let me type something.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, this shape does not allow you to write anything inside it. It's probably something. Okay, but you can edit the shape. Okay. So you can change the color. Someone's mic is on. Please switch it off. Change the outline. Change the outline thickness. You can change the outline style also, like this. Okay. Then you can insert a 3D model like we did for our presentation, our PPT. You can include your um, 3D models also. Okay, so let's go for this, and add the slide.
Um, I have a question.
Yes.
Ma'am, if we print this page, so the 3D model will become 2D, no? Like
Yes, of course.
it will appear or not?
I think it will appear. I haven't tried it, but it should appear. It would appear as an image most likely.
Okay.
Once you've adjusted it and you leave it at that, it'll probably just print in the position it is at. Okay? I haven't really tried printing that myself. Uh, Going ahead, you can also add a smart graphic like this. Like we spoke about last time, you can add, suppose you want to add a list or a hierarchy like this one. Okay, you want to show that flowchart, you insert it and you can adjust what it looks like, and you can type the material either here in this type your text here box, or you can type it on the box itself. But functionality is higher when you do it over here, and as with everything, you can adjust the font and all that. Okay, font color, whatever you want. All right, you can even highlight it and add effects to it if you so desire. Any questions here?
Ma'am, all clear.
Great. Let's just look at the second space. Similarly, you can add charts. Okay, if you want to add a bar graph or whatever, you can even add a screenshot. If there's something open on your computer and you want to take a screenshot of that and add it, you can do it. You can of course also just click on print screen and then control V and paste it over here, or you can do the safe option and click on screenshot. Okay, now here's another feature that is new to um, Microsoft uh, Office, that is um, after 2016. Okay, you get these add-ons. Okay, these are extra software features that you can download from the internet that are not normally available in Word or even PowerPoint. But if you feel like you want them and they are required for the kind of work that you do, you can add it. Okay, download it separately. Okay, but for most basic uses, you don't really need any specific add-on. Okay, it even allows you to check out Wikipedia. Okay, they're tied up, so you can just easily access Wiki through the Word app and get stuff that you need. Okay? And like we did with PowerPoint, you can insert videos. Okay, from online. Okay, uh, you can not really add a saved video into Word, if I'm not mistaken. It allows you to add from online, but I haven't yet come across an option to insert from your device itself. Okay. Um, and now suppose you are reading a document that is, say, a 50 or 100 pages or more than that long. Suppose you're reading a book which is in the Word document. Want to mark the spot where you stopped reading? You can add a bookmark. Okay. But suppose you want to add the link to a website. Okay, so I was talking about citation machine. want to add the web link, I select the word and I click on link. Okay, and I copy paste the URL of the website and I put it over here, and it creates a hyperlink. So the moment you click on it, it will automatically take you to that particular website or web page or whatever that is. Even a document online can be linked directly. Okay, any questions here?
No, ma'am.
All right. Now suppose you are reading something and you want to make a note. Okay, in a book that you're reading, you can easily take a pencil and make notes, right? You can't do that in a soft copy of something. But these days you do have options to make comments. So suppose I want to make a comment on this particular line. I can click on this comment button and it takes me to the side and I can insert. Okay, um, I want to add, right? And then it leaves a comment over there for me. And the beauty of this whole thing is, suppose I send this document to somebody via email or WhatsApp or something, and that person opens this document, they can see the comment over there. So this usually works when you're working in a team and you're sharing particular documents and everybody's working on the same document together. Okay, it helps that you're able to leave these kinds of comments. Okay, you can even assign, if you are working in Office 365 where the entire team can log in together and work digitally together across differences in space and time, uh, you can um, sort of collaborate and assign tasks to each other, and people can mark it as done and all that. Okay, and it works, sometimes it even works in real time, just the same way that Google Suite works. You can do that over here also. All right, and then you have this thing called headers and footers. Okay, in um, academic or professional documents, you need to provide headers and footers. This is because each document and each page of that document needs to be identified. Okay, and you can do that by having the name of the author on each page. Okay, or the name of the author and the name of the chapter on each page, or the name of the book and the name of the chapter, or however, or whatever you want to include. Okay, that identification has to be there, and it is a requirement for a lot of professional writing. Okay, um, you can either add the header or the footer, sometimes both. Okay, so let's go with the header. Okay, so for my header, all right, I want my name to appear on this side. So I add the header and then I add my name. Okay, and if you see, on every page thereafter my name will appear in that spot. Okay, this will not happen on the cover page of obviously, but every other page will have my name. Now if I double click on it, I can adjust what I want to include. Okay, I can adjust the spacing of the header by changing its distance from the margins. Okay, I can choose if it wants to look different on odd and even pages. This is mostly used when you need to print your document in the form of a book. Okay, where uh, it's all bound together and then you have to flip pages so they look different. Okay, so if you put it on the right side of one page, it will actually appear in the left of the other page. You don't want that to happen, so you get to adjust how it looks on odd and even pages. Okay, you can even insert pictures into your header. Now suppose your company has a logo and they have a rule that every document should have the logo on the side. So you can insert that logo in the header, so every page will have that logo that appears. Okay, and you can also add the date and the time, but this will only work for current date and time. You cannot post dated or something like that. Okay, and then you can add your page numbers also. Okay, so suppose I want the page number to appear at the bottom of my page. Okay, I have different preset options, the basic ones which show me the positions on the right, middle or the left, or you have something called the accent bars, or a preset which will count the number of pages you have and show you page 1 of 1, page 1 of 3, and so on and so forth. Okay, you can also add the page numbers in brackets, change the sizes, okay, or colors of it, create like a tab option or a special effect to highlight the page number or something, whatever you want. So many different options to mention the pages. Okay, you can create it fancy, you can create it basic like this. Okay, so when I'm writing my academic documents, I always go for accent bar 2. Okay, and instead of page I add my name. Okay, and I don't use the header. So this is what my documents look. No headers. Okay, but the footer contains the page number and my name, so it's an identifying thing. So whenever we used to submit assignments and papers for our academic work in college and all that, I used to use this so that even if one page falls out of the file somewhere, people will identify it and people can put it back in its place. So they know who wrote it and they know where in that entire document that page will fall. Okay. Any questions over here?
No, ma'am.
Awesome. Okay. And similar to your header and footer, let me just remove this for 1 minute. Save right now. Okay, you can add a signature line. Okay, these are um, again little software or parts of the app that you can download, or if you already have a system that is made available to you and you can insert it, you can do it. But for most people, the signature line is basically part of the footer. Okay, um, and then you can also insert equations. So if you're writing a mathematical document or something related to physics and stuff, you have the option to insert different equations. You can create a new equation, you can write it by hand by saying in equation. Okay, or you can go online and search for equations like this. This is very scary for me, so I'm just going to shut it right now. Okay, somebody's mic is on. If you could please close it. Okay, thank you. Then we go to design. Okay. Design is similar to what we saw on the format, okay, where you can choose what your document on the whole looks like. Again, let me just delete this comment. Okay, so the design of my document I can choose. Okay. So my title page, cover page remains the same, and this title gets adjusted, right? It's not reading this list. Let's change the themes. similar to your presentations. You can change the themes. All these are new exciting options that are present. Okay guys, you need to remember that all these features will not be available across apps. Okay, I am using Microsoft 2019. This is one of the latest um, uh, versions of the app, so there are a lot of features which may or may not be there in the older documents. So these themes options I don't think are there in any of the older versions. Okay, where automatically colors and all get changed like this. Okay, so don't get scared if you are unable to locate some of these options. It's perfectly fine, but the basic stuff that's there over here, the font and everything, okay, that will always be available to you regardless of your version. Okay, so even if you're using the 93 2000 uh, 97 to 2003 version, the oldest versions, even then you should have these basic, okay, not the styles, but at least the formatting options will be available. Okay, so the design is for the entire document as a whole. And then we have the option to include a watermark. So a watermark is another very nice system to prevent theft of your material. Okay, it appears in printouts, it appears in screenshots. Okay, it appears every time the document is forwarded or whatever. So this is another way to safeguard your um, intellectual property, or add an identification of some sort onto your document. So a lot of company stuff includes this confidential, or okay, so it would look like this, okay, on the page, and it comes in that light gray color even when you print it. You can even customize the watermark like this. Okay, you can even add a picture. You can go to your hard drive and pick a picture. Okay, I want a text watermark, and I want it to be okay, and I want it to be in a different font. Okay, I like Century. I always use Century, so there we go. I can choose the color of the watermark. Okay, and I want it diagonal and semi-transparent, and I say okay, there you go, my watermark is now visible on the screen. Okay, you can either use the headers and footers for identification, or you can use a watermark. You can also use a watermark to mention that this is a confidential file, or it's not supposed to be copied, or however it goes. Okay, a lot of options available. And if you don't want the watermark, just go and click on remove watermark. Right? You also have options to choose the color of the page. Okay, now if you choose a page color and if you decide to print the page, it's going to take up ink. Okay, it will use up the ink to print out the page color. The better option is to choose a colorful paper and print on that. But suppose this is only meant for a digital document. You're creating a fancy invitation, a greeting card, um, an advertisement, pamphlet, or whatever. You can then choose the page colors accordingly. So this is, so you know that this won't be printed. This will just go digitally, and it's okay to have a page color. Okay. Any questions over here?
No, ma'am.
Okay.
Hello, ma'am.
Yeah,
Ma'am, after you finish the full the tutorial of the Word, can you show us the resume example of resume using Word?
sure,
Okay,
sure.
ma'am. Thank you,
I
ma'am.
can do that.
Ma'am, are you going to teach Excel also?
No, I myself don't know it. I know Excel, but not so much. I
Okay.
can teach you some basic things, like how to create the table and do addition and all that. But I can't do the your higher level functions in Excel because it's more mathematical and I failed maths. So I can show you very basic, like a 5 minute tutorial. But that's just about it for myself. Um,
Ma'am, are you going to show maths in Word? Sorry, in this MS Word.
no, I showed you how you can insert equations, but that's just it. Okay.
Ma'am, I have a doubt regarding this.
Hmm.
Can I ask?
Yeah, of course.
Uh, yeah. Ma'am, yeah, they used to teach us some words. So how they write the mathematical equation. So for suppose I want to add a right arrow. So first they write right arrow. First they type right arrow. Then a certain button they click. Then it comes to be appear right arrow sign. So how do they do that?
I have no idea. Again, like I
Ma'am,
said,
can you try now? One.
how about I experiment later on, and then if I find out how to do it, I'll share with you.
Okay,
Okay,
ma'am.
ma'am.
Okay. Because honestly, I don't use any of this thing for maths. I don't use maths. Okay, I just do basic addition, subtraction, and multiplication and division for basic things like groceries and all that. But I have never, I don't
Actually,
use,
ma'am, they are like the cheat codes of maths
yeah,
for
there
using
are,
for doing maths in Word. So if we type the word like right arrow using a specific like a bracket or thing, then as soon as we press the enter button, it get converted into right arrow.
yeah, so that's what I said because I never use any of these apps for maths. Okay,
Uh,
I don't know how to do maths in a Word doc or in a PowerPoint or even Excel. Okay, Excel I just know how to do auto sum where it just gives me the total of the column. That's all I know. Okay, and that only because mark sheets and all are made like that. But to be honest, I'm not the right person to ask for your mathematical stuff. You can ask your IT teachers, perhaps, or let me see if I can pick my cousin's brain and maybe he'll tell me something.
okay,
I'm not
ma'am.
sure I'll understand, but I can definitely try and find out. Okay, if you're asking me, say I'm a very simple person. If I need to insert an arrow, I'm going to do this. Okay, I'm going to go down to arrows, pick the right arrow, and insert it. That's how I would do it. I don't know any of the keyboard shortcuts. I only know Control S, Control C, Control V, Control K, this kind of thing. But like I said, this is a very basic tutorial about the features. For advanced features, you can go to um, your office.com and there are help pages and FAQs that you can look at and you will definitely get the tutorials of how to do it. Okay, so feel free to explore and if you find out you can teach me in return. You know?
Okay, ma'am.
So,
Sure thing.
okay. Uh, one of the last things we've got left to look at is the layout. Okay. So right now my page is in the standard vertical layout. Okay. I can click on orientation and make it horizontal like this. So if I need my page to be horizontal, I can change its orientation like this. Okay. Um, or go back to vertical. I can change the size of the page. Now again, this is important when you have to print the page. Okay, so depending on the size of the paper, depending on the size of the printer, okay, you will choose what the page looks like on Microsoft Word. So the standard page size is A4, and that's how it will appear automatically when you open Microsoft Word. But you can change the layout and size like this. Now, if you are creating a legal document, you would click on the legal size and it changes the size. Okay, if you are um, creating little bills, okay, you can choose a smaller size paper like a B5 or a B4 or something. Okay, so depending on the purpose and your available hard stationery, you choose the size of the papers. Okay, now suppose you want your material to be in the form of two columns. Okay, so you can click on columns, choose the number of columns you want, and it divides itself into two columns like this. If there's more material on the page, right now there's less. Okay, the entire page will be divided like this into two columns. So you read the left hand side column first and you come to the right hand side column. Okay, um, these are of course used for different journal styles and reporting styles. Textbooks also sometimes divide the page into two columns. Depends on the size of the page, okay, whether it is suitable to have columns or not. Suppose my page was oriented horizontally, okay, then having the two column would also make sense so that the entire page can be used in a way. Okay, then we talk about margins. Normal margin, okay, is about 1 inch by 1 inch by 1 inch on all sides. Okay, again depending on the purpose of your document, depending on whether you're going to print it and put it inside a file, you change the margin sizes. Okay, if you have to file the page, like we're going to punch holes into the paper and stick it inside a file, okay, go for a wider margin. Okay, okay, I have selected wide margin. So over here on the left hand side, I have enough space to punch holes and put it inside a file or even bind it as a book, and that prevents the words from getting cut. And having extra margin on the right hand side will prevent it from tearing. So even if the edge of the paper tears, my words will remain relatively safe. Okay, but suppose you're just using the document to make notes for yourself. Okay, you just want to print out the material so you can read it, and that's all you want to do with it. You can choose the narrow borders, so more space is available on the page to add more material, and you save pages like this. Okay, I remember when I was in college and we had to print hundreds of pages of notes every semester. I would choose a font size of 10 and a narrow margin and put line spacing as 1 and just a bit of indent, so I could get actually almost 1.5 2 pages of information on a single sheet of paper, and it would save me so much money at the photocopy shop. And everyone would be like, this is cool, we don't spend too much of our pocket money getting prints of notes like this. Okay, but that of course, like I said, depends on the purpose. Now look at this cool thing called the mirrored margin. If you look at your textbooks or novels or something, you will see that the pages are facing each other. When you open it in the middle, pages are facing each other and they are bound in the middle. So the left hand margin of one paper, one page, and the right hand margin of the other page, they are stuck in the middle together, right? And if that's the kind of print you're going to take, okay, you have to select the mirrored borders. So on this page, the right hand side, if you see, is a little more, okay. Then if I go to the next page, the left hand side will be a little more. Okay, now nothing is written, but the left hand side will be a little more. Okay, I don't know if you're able to see it, but you can see the book appearance of the little icon on the mirrored one. Okay, any questions over here?
No, ma'am.
Great. Then the last thing you need to, last couple of things you need to know is the line numbers. Okay, um there are some documents where it becomes necessary to number each line. Okay, usually in plays, um, written forms of dramas, we have to refer to line numbers. Or if you're writing the script for a movie, okay, there also you need to have the line numbers. Or suppose you're creating a textbook and you're going to have the students refer back and forth between different paragraphs and lines, okay, it's helpful to have line numbers. So um, I want continuous line numbers, so it numbers the lines like this. Okay, and it's going to eat up the margin space, so I can add the wider margins like this. Okay, then in the end you have the review option. Now this is purely to do with your writing and nothing to do with the appearance of the page itself. Okay, you have options to keep checking your spelling and grammar. Now if you see over here, the word Zubov has been underlined in red. This means that Word is identifying this as a spelling error. But I know that it's not a spelling error because it is somebody's name. So I can ignore it. Okay. Uh, but it's helpful to have your spell check on so that um, every time you make a mistake, whether it's grammatical or spelling or structural, it will highlight it. Okay, so grammatical errors are underlined in green, and you have structural errors that get underlined in blue. Okay, the colors may vary depending on the version of the app that you've got. Okay, and then you have the option to show your word counts. If you look at the left hand bottom of my screen, okay, you can see it's mentioning the number of pages, the number of words. I have currently highlighted one word, so it's counting it as one word of 144 words. So all of this is, okay, 135 words, and then the words on the first page are the rest of them. Okay, so you have the option to keep your word count on like this. This is helpful when you have a word limit. Suppose you're supposed to write an essay of uh, 5,000 words or a report of 10,000 words. You need to keep track of word count like this, and Microsoft Word will do it automatically for you. Okay, you even have the option to change the language. Okay, um, so suppose you are writing in a different language. Okay, uh, if it's not the original language of Word, it's going to highlight everything as a spelling mistake. So to avoid that, you can change the proofing language, so it will proofread in the language that you are typing in. Okay, and another wonderful feature that I like is the track changes. This is again useful for when you are sharing documents among people and collaborating on that piece of work. So every time you say track changes, okay, and you make a change on the document, okay, it will highlight it. See, did you see the red brackets? That's the change that I just made. Suppose I delete this part entirely, it will cross it out. So whoever is reading the document after me, they can see what are the changes that I have incorporated. This of course will not be visible when you print this or share the file somewhere. Okay, but you have the option of showing track changes when you share a file. You can switch it off or you can switch it on, but when you print it, of course, it will not be there. Okay, and you can choose what all you want to show in the changes. Okay, then now suppose someone has made this change and shared the document with me. They say that I don't need to mention this part. Okay, so I can either accept the change, okay, or I can reject the change. Okay, so right now I had, okay, just reject the change, so no changes are visible. Okay, any questions here? Guys, any
No, ma'am.
questions? Okay, so that's that for Microsoft Word. I've shared everything that I know about this app. um, there's this help button that you can click on, um, and it takes you to, if you click here and all, it takes you to the FAQ pages and everything, where you can find out how to do certain things that you don't know how to do. Okay, so adding your arrows and your equations and stuff, you can figure out from there. Okay, um, yeah, uh, that's that. So if there aren't any more questions, then we will just go and look at how to save this. Okay, so you click on save and it takes you to your hard drive and you choose where you want to, or you can click on save as, and like I showed you for PowerPoint, you can choose to save it as a PDF or in a different version of Word or in a different file format altogether. Okay, any questions?
No,
Ma'am,
ma'am.
a question in general.
Yeah.
How much time you require to make a PPT or a Word file?
Oh, that depends on what is to be included, no? Depends on the material, depends on the planning, depends on the amount of formatting it requires, stuff like that. So you really can't say, and also each person is different. Some people work faster, some people work a little more slowly. It depends on the typing speed and the kind of features and material you want to add. So adding images and tables and all that takes longer than just typing material out like this. So that's it. Does that answer your question?
Yes.
Great. And of course you get faster with time. Once you've got the hang of all the controls and all the features and options, it becomes much faster to do things. Also, there are templates that you can use, so formatting is, uh, the work of formatting is reduced, but those templates are only suitable to certain types of documents. Okay. Okay. Any more questions?
No.
Okay. So we'll stop here. I'll give you a 10-minute break. It's 10:26 on my watch. Give you a 10-minute break. Don't leave the meeting. Stay in the meeting. After 10 minutes, we'll come back and we will go ahead with the theory section. Okay.
Okay, ma'am. Thank you, ma'am.